Hey guys, what's up? I'm here today with Krista Cahill, and I'm so grateful because she was a very important part in me figuring out what to do with my carrying angle. I didn't know I had a carrying angle until I hurt my wrist in yoga, and I had to sort of work backwards and figure out where the injury came from. And turns out I have a carrying angle, and so I was doing what so many people do with carrying angles, which is try to just do this general, symmetrical, straightforward downward facing dog pose.
Yes. And you can see, if we put our arms out side by side, the difference between straight arm and carrying angle, where the angle of Jess's arm, if it were straight, would be moving straight down next to her body, and you can see it veers slightly out to the side. So when she does down dog, that's exactly what's going to be happening, is her upper arms are going to be slightly closer, her hands are going to need to turn out as they are right here. The only difference is she's going to be pronating in the forearm bones, so the radial bone rotates around the ulna, and she's going to have her hand turned out a little bit. But most of the work here in the back of her tricep and in her rotator cuff is going to create a perfectly straight, strong, stable foundation for her to invert, to go upside down, handstand even, jumps. It's going to be
And that's opposite than what I've always been told. I've always been told to have the eyes of my elbows pointing each other and the fingers straight.
Why that doesn't work for you is because if you notice, when Jess puts her fingers straight forward, what she's doing is subtly but definitely rotating in a pronating way in her arm. So she's losing the function of external rotation at her shoulder, which is not fastening her arm in the socket. So she's really loosey-goosey in her shoulder, which is not going to feel very stable when you're piking up into a handstand or even doing down dog into plank and chaturanga.
So, what's the best start?
I think the best way to start would be on the hands and knees, just to give a real simple way for somebody to get used to, especially if you have a pre-existing yoga practice and you're going to be making some changes based upon what you find when you look at your arms. Hands and knees is a nice way to make those adjustments. So we have Jess sit back on her heels, and it's a halfway position to child's pose, is that her arms right now look or appear as if they are straight. However, she does not have a straight arm. So what we have to do is ask Jess to take the top of her outer arms and to not only firm them in, but to firm them in and to lift them up. So what we actually find out is that she has to turn her hands slightly at an angle outwards. And for somebody who has a carrying angle, this is going to be a permanent solution. You'll never be turning your hands back in, which is different than somebody who has just tight shoulders. Turning the hands out is a temporary solution. If they have a straight arm, eventually you're bringing them back until the hands are pointing straight forward. So for somebody with a carrying angle, it's really important for them to have this upper part of the arm closer than the forearm so that it creates that natural angle, which for this type of arm is the steadiest, sturdiest way. And as you can see, when I touch Jess, her arm is really strong and engaged here. So as she curls her toes under and comes into downward dog, usually what the carrying arm wants to do is to drop and to turn this way. And a lot of teachers will actually cue that because they don't see the angle in the person's arm. But if we ask her to draw her arms in and to take them all the way up into the socket, what Jess is going to feel is a direct line of energy from her hands in order to be able to move and elongate her sitting bones straight back. And it gives her this stability and this sturdiness where I can't push her around. She is steady, she is strong in this posture. How did that feel?
So good, and I'm so grateful for it. For a little while there when my wrist was hurting, I thought that was it. I thought I was done with yoga.
Right.
I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for helping me figure that out in my body. I still have my yoga. Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.